It's OCG rumored ban this season. My favorite. So, first source stated for this, Ready for Duel shared it for everybody, and the source is Spirit of the Duelist. So we're going to go through, we're going to talk about why this is a very interesting list to be approaching the OCG side of the game, and possible implications on our side of the game. So, let's dig on into your current rumored OCG ban list, shall we? Alright, so, those fresh Bannerinos. The OCG still has cards we don't have, but we'll get to the nitty-gritty of this list here. So, first up, as you see here, Topological Gumblar Dragon finally being ripped out of the OCG. And this shouldn't be a surprise, really, to anybody that they've had this card. They've been doing things with this card. It's not on the scale that we were doing it, because keep in mind, the OCG still does have Jin, so their ritual-based decks are a little bit better than ours. But Gumblar is one of those degenerate cards that A, I'm surprised it's survived as long as it has there, and B, considering 1-out-of-1 formats that they do for their YCSs, watching a whole event go down the crapper because you got hand looped, yeah, it's a little bit of a thing. Now, the other ban I see here is Needlefiber on this list. And I'm a little bit indifferent about this because Needlefiber's been at 1 for the longest time. And the biggest issue that Needlefiber has is it doesn't have the restriction of this card cannot be used as link material. Honestly, if Needlefiber had that clause, I think the card would have probably been 1% more fair. The ability to toggle out on the opponent's turn into literally a synchro is insane. Also, the fact that it can special summon a tuner, which gives you another link to climb into a link for, without those repercussions or being linked or being locked into you can't link summon anymore this turn. Needlefiber is the the beginning result of what came later, which was more fail-safe card design. I just think that to see this banned, especially when they have it at 1 at this point, makes perfect sense to me on this. So, that's your bans. To your one-ofs, we have Harp Horror. Now, a lot of players, including myself, have been speculating quite a lot that we could do to Orcust right now to balance out the deck. You have to remember both formats, OCG and TCG, are both being plagued by the Orcust engine. And at this point in time, you approach Galtea, you approach Orcust Nightmare, you approach Harp Horror, but what I think I agree with is if we are going to go after this approach, we are actually going to point fingers at Harp Horror. I think I think that can be okay. Limiting it to 1, I think, is fine. I think you put enough of a stress on the deck, because if the 1-of gets DD crowed, well, you've now officially, you've ruined their combo. And that's all we have to do when we're looking at Orcust at this point. We're going to have to approach it really in a way that will hurt the deck, but I think we will still want Orcust to be playable, considering the fact this engine has been around for as long as it has now and has had the validity that it has had up to this point. It's kind of crazy. We also have Endymion, the mighty master of magic, going to 1, the big bad boss monster himself. I find this particularly interesting. Are pendulums that much of an issue? Unless this is one of those, feels like a preemptive hit with the Link 3 coming out in circulation to help support the spell counter engine. Also, Tempest Magician, Burn, FTK does exist with this. The TCG has started to decide to figure this out more so now than in another life. But, okay, I could see this. I don't disagree with everything I've seen so far. Putting Pankratops to 1. So if you don't know, the OCG has had Pankratops at 2 for a very long time, and they're abusing this card very, very strongly in the OCG. It's literally been this powerhouse that you just opt and push and break boards in the side deck, and like it allows you to go second. But when you look at this come the TCG, we do see Pancratops, but the difference in power scaling and aggressiveness that we're seeing on the flip side over here versus, okay, cool, we used to go second to break the stronger board here. This is an interesting push, if it's really been that much of an issue. And then we have Salamangreat Circle going to 1. This is just, we're following up with TCG hits, I feel like, at this point. Just putting Salad more in check is never really a bad thing, in my opinion. So, there's that. Now, as we move along here, to 2, we have Thunder Dragon Dark. So, Thunder is a really weird combo deck that has a lot of things that it can do. The ceiling it can push through is really quite insane. And some of the Thunder Dragon cards work differently in the OCG than they do here. Seeing more of a passive hit on Thunder Dragon Dark, well, 1, takes care of them splashing and abusing it all across the board. I mean, they still have grass and things like that over there, so I do like this hit quite a lot. And then the other semi to 2 hit here is Nessie and Jackalope to 2. And I agree with this very much. Good call, OCG, if this is the true list. Dangers are this engine that is crazy, and the OCG just got this, literally, what was it, early September, late August? They finally got the whole Danger package. And the TCG's had these at 2 for a while. We've been dealing with the repercussions of the draw power and things like that. Well, now the OCG needs to start checking this engine. They need to go through and be like, oh, yeah, draw cards that are generic are insanely broken. So, taking a page out of the TCG book here, interesting enough to not see Tsuchinoko be hit, but I don't think they're abusing Tsuchinoko really in the way that we are. Actually, I've seen far less Tsuchinoko in most decks than the way we value the card. So that's okay. Now, 2, 3. We have Dragostoplay, the little Orthoscorpio. Okay. They were really weird and touched this side of the engine instead of going after other things. I found that really weird, but you have to understand different metagames, they value certain different things in the long run. So looking at going after the plot plan engine, the fact that it's done nothing for so long, we're just returning a piece of the puzzle to them at this point. Then we have Shadow Mist going to 3. This one doesn't surprise me all that much. The fact that the OCG is basically just handing heroes back their whole deck. They're like, alright, there's no point for us to keep this deck locked up at this point. Like, you've done the degeneracy that you need. We can give you more consistent avenues for the deck, but the deck's just not what it once was. I also see that we have Interrupted Kaiju Slumber going to 3 here as well. Whereas Kaiju's ever actually an issue in the OCG, I get board wipes they're a little bit more sketch about in the OCG, which, okay, I get it. Also being able to search for Kaijus to break a board can be quite devastating depending on the deck you're playing against. But to see it was limited, a bit weird. And last but not least, the OCG gets triple super polymerization. This card is changing the way that the average player looks and plays the game, and not necessarily in a good way. I think the card is very powerful and is a necessary evil at this point, but interesting indeed if this is the list. So repercussions, or things to look for here in our game. Seeing a hit on Harp Horror, I can agree with. I like that. Endymion getting hit, I don't foresee happening right now unless we are afraid of the pendulum FTK that everybody just started to figure out. I mean, I don't see any other real big pushes off of this list that we really need to worry about. I mean, I'll hail triple Needlefiber, but that's March, and it's December right now. So what do you guys think about this rumored list? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. And well, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Deucerinos. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a truffle shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out Vanquil40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.